All right. Did you want to come on stage, Jack, or did you want to just ask me in the chat? Hello, SM. So yeah, Jack, if you have vocabulary questions, you can either write them in the chat or you can raise your hand and come on stage. That's fine. Well, there you are. Hello, everyone. Hello, Lily and Mia and another Lily. We have Lily, and Lillian with us today, all Chinese. And hello, Kamel and Yusuf and Assem and Michael and Damon and Rainbow. And Huyen. Hello. You'll have to excuse me, my throat is a little bit scratchy today. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a cold. It's possible. Or it could be just that the weather is really crazy today. It is minus 16. Minus 16 C where I live right now. It's super cold. I mean, in Antarctica right now, in the South Pole, it is minus 18. So the South Pole is only 2 degrees Celsius colder than it is right outside my door right now. Oh, and look at that. Yes, my subtitles are back. Yay. Let me tell Simon they are back. Do I know Jordan? Yes, I do know Jordan, and he is both a country and a basketball player. It is both a country and a basketball player. I have followers in every single country in the world. Jack, are you still there? I tried to invite you. I don't know if you got the invitation. Did you get the invitation? Hello, Maria. Good morning. I'll try to invite you again, Jack. There he is. Hello, Jack.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. What about you?
I'm good. It's good to actually see you.
Good to see you too.
So what can I do for you today? What kind of vocabulary do you need help with? Okay.
Questions. The first one would be the meaning of the word peer. P-E-E-R.
Your peers are any people who are the same as you in some way, right? So it could be your friends can be your peers, your coworkers could be your peers. Maybe you're in a certain, like my drummers, I'm a drummer, they're my peers, right? Other musicians would be my peers because we're musicians, right? So in general, the word peer is used for any group of people who share some concept, ideal, or activity, maybe is a good way to put it. I'm curious. Let me see something. So the word comes from the 1300s. The original meaning is an equal in rank. An equal in rank.
Yeah.
So that's why I said it just basically means anybody who's similar to you in some way. Now, on the other hand, are all drummers my peers? Maybe in one way, yes, and in one way, no, right? So a drummer who just started and he doesn't know anything, he's only been playing for 3 months or something, is he the same as a drummer who's been playing for 40 years?
No.
Right. So they are peers in the sense that they both play drums, but they're not peers by level. Right. So it gets a little bit complicated depending on how you look at it. Yeah. And I think, let's see. So it comes from the Latin word par. Have you ever heard that's on par with blah, blah, blah? On par with something means about the same as. So par is a Latin word that means about the same as. Okay? Or equal.
What about the other meaning of it? Like peer through something?
Right, to look closely at something, yeah. So that is a variation of the word peerin, so it comes from a slightly different root. It's kind of weird. That can happen sometimes, where two words will be spelled the same way, but actually have different meanings and different root backgrounds. Right? And it's almost a coincidence that they just happen to be spelled the same, which makes you think that they are the same. But technically, the peer noun and peer verb are actually two completely different words. Okay? So the other one, it comes from an Old English word that just means to look. To look closely. Yeah. So, like I said, that's why sometimes you might be confused. It doesn't happen too often, so don't worry. You just happen to find one word that has the same spelling, two different meanings, and two different backgrounds. Yeah.
Is it common to use the word peer in the meaning of like stare or to look closely?
Yeah. I wouldn't say common, but not uncommon. It's more of a word like maybe in writing, like if I'm reading like a mystery book or something, he peered into the abyss, or he peered into the darkness, or he peered into his soul. It's a slightly more formal word, right? So that's why we don't use it too often in I wouldn't say, hey man, what are you peering at? Like if what are you looking at is what I would say, right? I think it's a word that I would say is used in writing more often than speaking, and I think it's a word that is used often more when someone is telling a story, right? So rather than saying I looked over the wall, you can say I peered over the wall, and now it seems a little bit more, intense or something, because you've used a formal word. So that makes it seem more, dun, 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 like that kind of a feeling, right? So that's what language does sometimes. When you make a word, when you use a more formal word than you need to, you elevate the atmosphere of language to a different place. And so sometimes you can create a completely different feeling by using the simple word or by using the formal, complicated word.
I got it. What about the word deny? D-E-N-Y.
What about it? It means that you say, nope, that's not true. And it comes from, Old French denois. From before that, it was Latin denegare, which means to deny, reject, or refuse. And the word, the letters DE means away, and negare means no. That's where we get the word negative from. So it's kind of weird. It's such a short word, D-E-N-Y, but the D-E means away or go away, right? To take away. And the N-Y comes from the same, it's like no. It comes from the same root as no. negative, no. So, no, that's not true, is what you're saying. Yeah, to deny it.
Like, there were some examples, like deny allegations.
Uh-huh. Allegations means someone says that you did something. They allege. They can't prove it, but they allege it, right? So it's like accusing you, right? And now when you use the words allegedly, then you're in... It's like you're implying that you want to prove that they did do it. You plan to prove that they did do it. Or you're trying to legally... News people use the word allegedly a lot, because if you say somebody did something and they didn't do it, they can come back and sue you, right? For, you lied about their character. But if you say they allegedly did it, now you're legally safe. You can say whatever you want and they can't sue you. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I was watching, a video about a story of a man, and the man was saying he allegedly was armed.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Means that they don't have proof yet, but they think that he was armed, or they heard he was armed, or they had some knowledge somehow that he was armed.
Yeah, I got it. What about the word knack? K-N-A-C-K.
A knack for something, yeah. Not a super common word, but it is used. It's kind of old, but we still use it. To have a knack for something means that you're pretty good at it. You have a little talent in it. Like it isn't. It seems to kind of come naturally for you, right? Come easily for you. Let's see where that word comes from. K-N-A-C-K. So this one is not entirely sure. They're not certain where it comes from. They think it might. Let's see. Deception, a trick or device, a word of uncertain origin, perhaps related to a Low German word meaning a sharp-sounding blow. That's interesting. So the original meaning actually is different than the current meaning, and this happens sometimes too. The meaning will change over time. So the original meaning was actually a trick, like a deception. It was a knack. Like trick and knack were probably pretty close to the same meaning. But, and that meaning comes from the word meaning like a hit, like a blow, like somebody came up and hit you behind the head and walked away and you didn't know who it was. That's a trick, right? That's a knack. They knacked you, that kind of thing, right? And sometimes this would be considered what we call an onomatopoeia, which means a word that sounds like what it is, right? Knack, like knock also. Knock on the door. Knock, 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 right? That sounds like that, right? Slap, another one that's an onomatopoeia, right? Those are words that sound like what they are. But the meaning then changed to a special skill around the 1580s. So the word was created around the mid-14th century, right, the 1350s or so. But then it changed around the 1580s, and it changed to mean more like a special skill. He has a knack for it, means a special skill or talent for it. Okay?
Do we use in this meaning commonly right now?
Like I said, I wouldn't say it's super common, but I don't want to say it's uncommon either. Let me think of how I would describe this word. It falls into a category of words that are kind of, they're almost slang. And the reason I say that is because there are probably young people who don't use this term anymore. But my parents, he's got a knack for it. Or I would say that too. He seems to have a knack for playing drums. He's got a knack for teaching. He's got a knack for something. Yeah, I still use it, But can I imagine meeting some young people who have never used it or don't know it? Yeah, I also can. So there's like I said, almost like a temporary fad-like thing to certain types of words. But like I said, does it qualify as slang then? That's, like I said, it's almost like a special category of words that are not really slang, and they're not formal either, and they're not super common. But they're not uncommon, and they're not informal either. They're very, like this is not a formal or informal word. It just is. He has a knack for it. I wouldn't be afraid to use that word in a paper. I wouldn't be afraid to use that word in a classroom. So that's why I said it's weird, because it's not informal enough to be considered slang. But it's also not. But there are also some people who won't know it. Right, and that has a slang-like quality. That some slang words, they fade, right? Like we have them for a few years and then they seem to go away. So yeah, any other words?
I do have, unfortunately. That'll take a little bit of time.
All right, well, I'll do what I can.
Off.
Carry out and carry on.
Out and carry off.
Carry off. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, carry
Yeah.
out and carry off. Hold on, let me think about that for a moment. Let me see something. And everybody else who's here, by the way, hello. And you can write whatever questions you have, write them in the chat, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can. If you want to come on stage and talk to me, you can as well. But just be patient. Jack is one of my loyal, longtime followers, and I'm going to help him as much as he needs. Carry out versus, let's see, carry off. So carry out is common, but carry off... this could be one that is more popular in UK and British English, but I don't think it's that common here. Again, I won't say it's uncommon. I could see it in a book. I could see it there, and I would know what it means. He was carried off by the enemy, right? So to be carried off is usually to be picked up and taken someplace. You're carried off someplace, right? The tsunami carried me off into the street, or into the, next village. The enemy army carried me off as a prisoner, whatever, something like that, right? But carry out is just to follow through with something, like an order, right? He carried out my orders. That's usually the most common way it's used. Did you carry out what I said? Means, did you do what I said? Did you follow what I said?
Good. Actually, the carry off, you have mentioned about the second meaning of it, but the first one is that to succeed in doing or achieving something difficult. For example, I think he carried off the part of the Hamlet with great skill, or she was nervous about giving...
Right. Okay. So... Yeah, we more commonly say pulled off. Yeah. In America, we'll more commonly say he pulled that off well. He pulled off that he was in a play and he was trying to be like Othello, and he pulled it off well, right? He pulled off the performance well. So that's, like I said, that's one of those ones that could be... We might use it carried off occasionally, but it also could be a British thing. Maybe they say carried off more commonly than we do, Some of those things are not really well known. You're getting into an interesting area, Jack, because there are certain words like this that, like, I can imagine this could be a British thing, but I'm not sure. And there are certain kind of... I feel like I'm very familiar with most of the discrepancies and differences between British English and American English. But there are definitely some that are kind of like, I don't know, maybe? Could be. And this is like that, So I know the difference between, the way we spell color and the way we spell, the certain words we say that are different. But this is one of those ones that I'm not certain about. Okay? Ask a Brit. Ask a Brit about that. about carried off. We might use it, but in that case, I think it would be less common than pulled off, and I think it would be. I can imagine it only in certain situations, like a play, like you described, like a performance of a play, you know. And a performance of a play is that a very casual environment, the performance of a play? No. Like, you know, like people who go to plays or elevated people who are using elevated language, they want to be formal. So they use the more formal language to describe things. Like, they're not going to go to an opera and be like, man, that was dope. You know, like, they're going to come back. The performance was absolutely stupendous, you know? Like, they're going to use the words that fit the nature of the performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got it. So let me move to the other one. The word exclusive, but just in the meaning of limited to only one person or group of people.
Yeah, because it comes from the word to exclude, means to leave some people out. Right? So ex means out. And let's see. What's the Latin word that we're dealing with here? Exclude. So the word claudere means to close or shut. So exclude means to close out or shut out. You're shut out. You're kept out of it somehow.
I got it.
Yeah. So in this case, like I said, if it's like a prize, then, you know, it's excluded by this, you know, only these people get it, right? If I said in my classroom, you know, if you get an 80% or above, then I'll buy pizza for everybody. Anybody who doesn't is excluded. Okay? They're left out.
I got it. And I think a little bit one or two are left.
Okay.
Do we use the word fancy in the meaning of like or want? For instance, do you fancy going to the cinema tonight?
More of a British thing than an American thing. And it's a bit archaic and old sounding, right? So again, that's why the Brits can do it. Like, there are certain words the Brits can say that we can't say, because when we say them, we sound weird because it sounds really old and too formal. But just the nature of Britain is much older than we are, and they are more formal than we are, so they can do it and it works. But yeah. Wait, what was the term again?
What was the
what was the term again? What did you? What was the one that you asked about? Fancy. Yeah. So to fancy something, yeah. If you said that here, in most places, people would be like, you could just say like, man. like, would you fancy going to the movies with me? You know, like, it sounds a bit like overly ostentatious and pretentious and a bit overdone. But if I were in a certain group of people, you know, if I were hanging out with a bunch of rich royal people, maybe I would be like, fancy some tea? Sure. You know, like, yeah. But like I said, in America, would we do that regularly? Only if we were joking.
Yeah.
Would you fancy a beer, my friend? You know, we might say it jokingly.
Yeah.
And the word fancy here is a little different. When we use the word fancy here, we don't say it meaning to like or want. We say it meaning more ornate or decorative or expensive or nicer somehow. Like, this is my fancy suit or my fancy jacket or my fancy, whatever. It means more like nicer somehow.
And the last one is lay something out in the meaning of explain.
Right. So this is an easy one. This is more like an idiom where to lay something out is like, imagine like you're getting ready to cook something, right? And you have all the ingredients. And, you know, if you're a good cook, then you lay things out nicely so that you know where everything is and it's easy to see and you understand what to do. Same thing when you're explaining something. To lay out something for someone means to put it out on the table in such a way that when you see it, you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Let me lay it out for you. Okay? Now, lay it out for you can actually have a second meaning too. So one can be to try to help you understand, and one can be to try to help you understand because I'm in charge. So if I say, let me lay this out for you, it means I'm the boss and you're not. And here's what we're going to do, and you're going to do it. Right? So if I say I'm laying this out for you, it means these are the orders. The orders are on the table. That's what you have to do. So it could be from just an explanation. Let me lay this out for you. Like, here's what this is. But it also could be more like a strong, like, I'm telling you this is what we're doing. Right? This is not up for discussion.
Like, I do have an idea. I do have a project, and I'm telling my friends about it, and they don't get it. So I tell them, let me lay this out for you. That
could work that way, yeah. Now, you have to be careful, though, because depending on your tone, they might take it the wrong way. If you said it with a smile and you said it in a very, very friendly, open-sounding kind of a way, then it would sound like you're explaining it, not condescendingly telling them, hey, dummy. Like, hey, dummy, let me tell you what this really means, or let me tell you what we're going to do, right? That's how it could come off, depending on how you're explaining it. Now, if I had a team and they didn't understand, I think I would probably choose other words. I might say, let me try to make this more clear. Let me try to explain more. Yeah, let me try to clarify. Yeah, things like that would be good. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you for today.
Language is interesting that way, Like, again, that's why... Can you imagine being a diplomat without good language?
No.
Right. I mean, it's impossible. Because every word matters. The way you say something and the words you choose could be interpreted in many different ways, right? That's why I think it's funny that the word grammar is related to the word glamour, and the word glamour actually used to mean magic. Because grammar is magic in that sense that language can make you do things depending on the words you choose. If I choose my words well, you want to listen to me. If I choose my words well, you understand or don't understand. If I choose my words well, you're inspired or you're turned off. If I choose my words well, so there's magic, there's power in words.
I got it.
And that's why it's great to explore vocabulary the way you are, to try to understand these finite, small points between the shading of language, right? How this word could be used here, but it also could be used here in a different way, There's a lot of shades.
Yeah.
So those are great questions, though, Jack. You're doing wonderfully.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm
no
really
problem.
Grateful for this.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anytime. Well, I'm going to try to get to a few other people then today, Jack, but thank you for coming on my stage. It was great to see you.
Then see you later.
All right. Take care, my friend. Okay, and over here in YouTube, hello to Wipeout Gaming. Interesting name. Hello, Miguel. And Nelly. One moment, guys. Okay, and hello Nelly too, and hello Alil over in my YouTube channel. The question that Gaming here had in YouTube, and I'll get to you guys in just a second. I'm really not good at English. How can I improve it? Should I start learning English from scratch like grammar? Well, that would be a good start. Yeah, Wipeout Gaming. Since you like gaming and you're on the computer all the time, go to a website called GamesToLearnEnglish.com. Start there. They have vocabulary, they have grammar, they have everything. Okay? GamesToLearnEnglish.com, GamesToLearnEnglish.com, GamesToLearnEnglish.com. Okay? All right, now back over to my Hello Talk people. Thank you for being patient while I answered questions for Jack. Hello, Fatima. Hello, Ricardo. Hello, Belen. Big hugs. And Jabed, yes, I'll bring somebody else up here in just a second. Let me try to get the questions in the chat here quickly. Agape. Yes, agape means your mouth is open like surprise. Yeah, my mouth was agape. Yes, that's right. Hello, Kim. Hello, Ka. Hello, Bahar and DK. Hello, Shabuddin. When do we use oh my goodness? Anytime you want to use oh my God, you can say oh my goodness. Hello, Aisha. Good to see you. Yeah, Jack's English is really fantastic, isn't it? He is very, very studious. Okay? Studious means he studies a lot. He loves to learn. Jack has been following me for a long time now, I think. A couple of years at least. And he often sends me messages. He often asks me English questions on my personal chat. And I answer his questions pretty much all the time because he has great questions and because I know how serious he is about learning. So the more serious you are about learning, the more likely I am to give you personal help. Is fancy the same as luxury? Not exactly. No, luxury is a bit more, right? If I said this is a fancy plate or a fancy dress, that's not quite as expensive or nice as a luxury plate or a luxury dress. Okay? I hear the word raving a lot from natives. Is it similar to trend? Depends on how you use it. He was raving about that party last night. To rave about something means to talk about how great it was. Right? So if you say, oh my God, that party was so amazing, it was so awesome, there were so many people and the food and the music, it was all so great, you're raving about what happened. Okay? To rave about something means to talk about how awesome it is. Okay? Hello to all the new people. Hello, Amir. Hello, Ewan. How can you get a rich collection of vocabulary? Aisha, you need to start working on it. Create 5 different ways to learn vocabulary. Okay? Don't just learn vocabulary one boring way. Find 5 different ways to learn vocabulary. Okay? 10 different ways. The more ways that you can creatively think of to try to learn vocabulary, the more the easier it will be to gain a rich collection of vocabulary. Okay? Hello, Sayoma. Okay. All right, I got to all the questions on the chat now. If you want to raise your hand and come on stage and ask me anything, you can. I am a teacher. It's my job to teach. I am teaching. So if you have a question about English grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, reading, writing, listening, speaking, whatever, write your question in the chat or raise your hand and come ask me. Pardon me for my voice. It's getting worse. And here is my YouTube channel. By the way, if you want to follow my YouTube channel, there's a time limit on Hello Talk, but there is no time limit on my YouTube channel. So if you ever want to save your Hello Talk minutes for another streamer or something else, then you can just go to my YouTube channel and watch this now on YouTube with no time limit. Okay? All right, let's see. Amir wants to come talk to me.
Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
Amir.
Mark.
How are you?
Thank you so much for asking. How are you doing?
I'm fine, except for my voice. I feel like maybe I might be getting a cold. You know, I feel like I woke up this morning and the weather here is super cold. It's minus 16 C right now. Yeah,
16.
and I just told everybody Antarctica right now is minus 18. So, like, it is almost as cold outside my door as the South Pole. That's crazy, right? That is crazy. Yeah. Tell me.
Is it true that? Sorry. go
I
ahead.
know that if you're asking if what I said is true, now I checked it. Yeah,
No,
my,
no, 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 no. Is it true that the colder it is, the less likely you are to just sense that type of coldness? Is it true that that's what I've heard from some people who are just specialized in types of weather forecast or something? They told me that just the colder it is, the more. So, for example, you do not like kind of differentiate between minus 20 and minus 30.
oh yeah, that's pretty much true. Yeah, once it gets to a point like where it's just bitterly cold, it's so cold it almost hurts. You know, like if you're out there for too long and you don't have the right clothing on, you know, I mean, this is the days like this are when I truly, truly, truly do feel so grateful for what I have and sorry for people who are homeless right now because, man, it is just so cold. I can't even imagine what you would do. If you're outside for more than 10 minutes, even if you have a really good coat, you're going to be cold. Yeah, you're going to be cold.
Face,
Yeah.
your face, gonna,
Your
like,
face will
blush.
hurt. Your fingers start to hurt. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And have you been to Canada? Like,
I have. I've been to Toronto many years ago. Yeah. And it's a little bit like, so Chicago, which is not far from there, right? Chicago right now, I think it's minus 19. Yeah. So, yeah, again, like, don't tell me climate change is not real because these temperatures, we did not used to have it like this regularly. You know, this was a once in 100 years kind of a thing. But now, you know, it's like every year.
but climate change has also made its impact on this type of, and now it's not. I've heard it's not as cold as it used to be, like 20 years ago, or.
Well, it depends on where you look, and it depends on whether you're looking at the aggregate temperature or individual areas. So what I'm talking about is one of the major things that has happened with climate change is the winds and tides are changing. And when the winds and tides change, that means every place is now going to be affected, that certain places the temperatures will go up more than they used to, and certain places the temperatures go down more than they used to, because the currents that carry the temperature, whether they be air currents or water currents, they're changing. So every place is changing their weather, right? So there are certain places that definitely will be, you know, can say that they're warmer than they have been. So Taiwan, for example, in general, they almost. When I lived there, the winter there was, you know, I would be out in a t-shirt. People would be like, "Wow, it's cold. What are you doing?" You know, like, but we're like, that's like spring for us. It's like fine, you know. But even their winter is even more mild than it's ever been. It's just not that. It never really gets that bad there. But again, here. You know, it depends. Are you comparing it to the Ice Age, or are you you know, like, you know, like, it depends on when you're comparing it to. But all I know is these changes are happening in a much more rapid way than they used to. So whether that means changes by gradation, meaning up and down, or changes in location because of the currents. And I think what I'm affected by is the Canadian wind currents have always come down from Canada and blown down through Chicago and down over the Midwest of America. But they've gotten stronger, and now the cold air gets more cold and comes down even more, you know, further south and stays longer. And that's why it's the way it is right now. Yeah, it's Canada.
If I
Blame
heard
Canada. There's a famous song from South Park called "Blame Canada, Blame Canada." You know, like, it's kind of funny.
yesterday, I was watching How I Met Your series because I mean, I'm a diehard fan of it, especially
Yeah,
the
it's a
guy
good one.
called Barney. Do you
Barney,
like
sure.
him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Barney is a famous actor in America, and when he was a boy, he had another TV show. He was a kid actor, and he was on a TV show called Doogie Howser. Doogie Howser, it was a show about a boy who was a genius, and he was a doctor. He was like a 12-year-old doctor. Like he had gone to Harvard and passed the medical school and everything, and now he's working in a hospital as a 12-year-old doctor, and that was Doogie. You know, that's what we still call him. You know, like if I saw Neil Patrick Harris, that's the actor, it would be hard for me not to go like, hey Doogie, you know, like, because that's how I grew up. I grew up knowing him before How I Met Your Mother. You know, yeah, he's done a lot of. He's a really fantastic actor.
Yes.
There's another series I like. It's a kids series called Lemony Snicket.
Hadn't heard about it.
It's a kids book series, but then they made a Netflix series with him, and it is really, really, really good. I mean, it's just funny and fun and weird, and the production is so different. It's like a storybook when you read it, or when you're watching it. It's kind of like you're watching a storybook. There's narration. It's really interesting and great for vocabulary too. It's one I used
Exactly.
I used to encourage my kids to watch that show because it's a kids show, so it's good for kids, but it's got great vocabulary. That series was written by somebody who was trying to write exciting mystery stories for kids and put vocabulary in there to encourage them to learn.
The way that they use like adjectives together one after another, because we usually tend to use one adjective, but the way that like Barney uses adjectives, like three adjectives one after each other, is really always amazes me all the time.
Yeah, well, like I said, he is an excellent character actor, Barney. You know, or I should say Neil Patrick Harris is an excellent character actor. He's been doing acting since he was a child, and he is a formal actor. He's not just like a movie actor who's just like a good-looking guy. You know, I mean, no offense to Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt is famous because he's hot. That's why he's famous. You know, like, and I think he would admit that. I think even he would say, yeah, you know, I got lucky with this face. You know.
We're on the same wavelength. How do you think about Leonardo DiCaprio? I feel the same.
I kind of do too. Yeah, I mean, like, look, Leo. Occasionally, Leo does a pretty good performance, but at the end of the day, he became famous because he was on a show. His first TV show was a show called Growing Pains. He was a side actor on this show called Growing Pains. I remember watching it when I was a kid. And even then, he was like 15, 14 years old, and he's this good-looking blonde kid who just, you know, you know that his life is not the way everybody else is. Everything is easy for him, you know? And so I think that he tries to find some good roles that have good characters. I think he does a better job doing that than Brad Pitt. You know, like Brad Pitt usually just I feel like he just takes whatever comes to him. He's only done a few very serious movies that I've been like, oh, wow, that was deep. You know, most of his movies are Ocean's 12, Ocean's 11, you know, kind of these good looking characters that are just, I don't know, not that deep is what I mean. DiCaprio has done a few that are a little bit deeper, you know, and some decent performances, you know. So I give him credit for that. And I do think that they both take it seriously.
Yeah.
I think.
In terms of what?
In terms of like acting. I think that they both do like show up and consider it to be work, I think. But on the other hand, you know, a guy like Lawrence Fishburne or Patrick Stewart. Now there's an actor.
Oh, Patrick Stewart, I love him.
Yeah, me too. And now that's when I say I'm talking about actors. I'm talking about guys like Patrick Stewart or who's the other guy? The guy who played Gandalf.
Hadn't heard about Gandalf, I guess.
Gandalf is the wizard from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen is Gandalf, the actor. And again, Ian McKellen is a real actor. He is a real actor who's like, wow, that's a real actor. That's not Brad Pitt actor, you know? Yeah.
I like the way you just put an emphasis on it.
You know, I mean, you know, it's true
Bars
though.
are bars.
It's true though. Like, and you know how you know? I'll tell you how you know. Because Patrick Stewart is not that good looking of a guy, but I guarantee you he can get any girl he wants. Because he is really good as an actor. He's powerful. He commands a room when he speaks. He's brilliant. So that's what I mean is, you know, you're talented when you're not that good looking, and you still,
True.
you know, like, and you still
You
have.
focus on some more important aspects rather than just focus on your look, because some
Right.
people just
Right. And then, you know, I do also think that there's something to be said for having a unique look, you know?
yeah.
Like Robert De Niro. I think
Yeah.
De Niro gets casted because he has a specific look. Willem Dafoe. That's an ugly dude.
I don't know him.
Willem Dafoe is another famous American actor, and he's awesome. He's amazing, but man, that dude is ugly as sin. but his that look is why he gets cast for things, because you can't cast the pretty guy for everything. You got to have somebody who has.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah, Mr. Bean. Yes, there's another one. Yeah, what's his name again? Oh, what's that guy's
I
name?
don't remember. His IQ is 180. I remember. How much was it?
Yeah, he's one of those guys who I used to hate him when I was younger, because I
Really?
did. Well, yeah, because the Mr. Bean character was annoying when I was younger. It was everywhere. It was all over the place when I was a kid.
The cliche.
Yeah, it was a cliche. It became too much. But then I started, you know, kind of paying attention to him more, and I learned more about him. And he is a trained actor. Again, that's a dude who's ugly as sin, but he's good at what he does. Why? Because he's a real actor. He's been doing this for a long time,
Indeed.
and he does real plays, and he can, you know, he's trained. You know, and again, he. Rather than saying, "Oh, I'm not as good looking as Brad Pitt," he didn't even say that. He said, "Well, I have a look. I have a look that's different. I have a look that's different, and I'm going to work with that. I'm going to use what I have." You know, that's him, Rowan Atkinson. Yeah, Rowan Atkinson. That's his name. Yeah,
Oh, Rowan
yeah. That's Mr. Bean. Yeah, yeah. He's funny.
Yes. You know, I remember because I remember I was playing like kind of plays, playing performance in my school, and during when I was teenager, and I used to be just memorizing some of the, because I was a movie buff, and I was memorizing the names of the characters.
Yeah.
And we were just having some really discussions about like who our favorite character is, and asking each other what your favorite movie is, what your favorite actor is, and if one of us didn't know, we should have bought everyone an ice cream.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun game. Yeah.
I did like it.
Yeah,
But,
so
yeah.
you know, I have tremendous respect for acting. It's a really amazing skill if it's done right, if it's done well.
Yeah.
And you know, I just feel like there's a certain caliber, a certain kind of actor that's still like the old style of actor, and then there's a certain style of actor that just waits for everything to do like the computer does everything. You know, oh, we'll fix it later with the computers. We'll just cut this and we'll cut that, and then it'll look great. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything. You know. Whereas Ian McKellen would say, like, no cutting. We're gonna do this until I get it right. You know, like that's a real actor doing it, and he won't even need to do it more than once. He'll come in and do it first time, and it'll be amazing. You know, because he's ready, because he's prepared. You know.
That's what Nolan also does more often than not. I've heard from Nolan, and the way he also uses his actors, he always forbids all of those actors to use like kind of phone. He doesn't let anyone use phone.
Nolan who? Christopher Nolan?
Christopher Nolan. Yeah, Christopher
Oh,
Nolan doesn't let any actors. He's my favorite director in the world.
Interesting,
Because
okay.
the way he makes movies, make anyone. It's really thought provoking.
He is. I used to like him. I kind of feel like he's jumped the shark a little bit. Do you know what that means, to jump the shark?
No, I don't.
Jump the shark is an English idiom. It's a funny English idiom. It comes from America, and it means that you've lost the plot, if you know that one. It means like you did something that's like, oh man, you used to be good, but then what happened? Like, what did you do? You did something that all of a sudden is like, no. And it comes from a TV show. There was a TV show in the 1970s and 80s. It was called Happy Days. And there was a character on the Happy Days called Fonzie, Arthur Fonzarelli. And this is a very famous TV show from the 70s and 80s. And the Fonz was the cool guy. So he wore the leather jacket, and he would come in, and his signature phrase, he would walk in the room and he would say, "Hey," you know, like just whatever, right? And the show was a very good family show, and everybody really liked it for many seasons. But then one season, it was really bad, and they had one episode where Fonzie had to go on water skis and jump over a shark. And everybody was like, that was the plot of the show, was that he had to jump over a shark for some reason, and it was like, what
Did he make it?
I don't even remember. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Of course he must have. But because, you know, in the 70s and 80s, no shows ended badly. They all ended with a happy ending, you know. But it was just one of those things that we all went like, what? Why? What does a shark have anything to do with this guy? This is weird. So now when we say the TV, it jumped the shark, it means it was really, really good, but then they had one episode or one ending that was like,
yeah, everyone was on the edge of their seat to be just amazed by the ending, but the ending just
it was just like, what is that? Or it doesn't necessarily have to be the ending. It could just be somehow they, you know, there are some shows where they've been writing it for so long, they did 10 seasons, they're running out of ideas. That's the problem. They're running out of ideas, and then they decide to do some idea that's like, oh, well, okay, we don't have anything else. Let's do this. Let's make him jump a shark, you know?
The same for God happened also. They didn't have any ideas, and they just made everyone kill each other. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And the same for, like, you know, like, about even Walking Dead, I remember. Walking Dead was my favorite series. I used to be watched. I didn't let myself just
You know what's funny is my friend Belen, who's in the chat there, she has a restaurant in Madrid, and just recently one of the guys from Walking Dead was in her restaurant.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Which guy was it again, Belen? What was his name? Let's see.
Is it the show Rocky? The Rocky. I don't remember the Rocky.
The Rookie.
The Rookie.
Who are we talking about now? They're talking about Viggo Mortensen, who's another famous guy from the Lord of the Rings. If you like the Lord of the Rings, then you know Viggo.
Yeah.
Viggo was also at her restaurant recently. Viggo lives near her restaurant, I think. Yeah.
Can you tell me the name of the
It's in Madrid. It's called Casa Marius. Casa Marius, everybody. Go to Madrid.
I wrote
Casa
that.
Marius. Yeah, go there. Yeah, Norman Reedus. There he is, Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
I remember. The guy who was always with Sam.
Yeah, he's got the crossbows and stuff like that and whatever. Yeah, right. And the long hair.
Yeah, he was my favorite one.
Yeah, he's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, and in the end, I guess Morgan came to show, and he killed everyone. He killed some of the people, and everyone just left the series. They didn't just keep watching it.
That was my point about Christopher Nolan, is that I feel like, here's the thing about Christopher Nolan and anybody. It's like there's a famous band called Radiohead, and they are really, really good, right? And I do like them, but I also don't like them. And I don't like them for one simple reason. Their music is brilliant, but it only has one freaking color. those guys can't write a happy song to save their lives. Like, if they had a gun to their head, they couldn't write a happy song. Every song comes out sounding moody and sad, and it's brilliant moody sadness, but it's moody and sadness like, guys, come on. You know, life is not that bad. Can't you get together and write one song that vaguely sounds happy? So Christopher Nolan is kind of the same way. I feel like he's what we call a one-trick pony.
What trick pony?
One-trick pony. A one-trick pony means a pony like a circus pony, and he only has one trick. he can jump over. He can jump over the bench. That's his only trick. He can jump over the bench. And Christopher Nolan I feel like he tries too hard every single time to make something that's like
Special.
Yeah, like what? There was one movie that he did that I think I lost him at. It was one where the time was all in reverse.
Inception?
Yeah, and I was like, man, I'm sorry, but no, that thing was confusing as hell.
I watched it 4 times.
It was
right.
It's confusing as hell. Like, no, man. Like, and that's when you reach a point where you jump the shark. It's like, dude, you're trying too hard. You're desperate for people to think you're brilliant, so you're doing weird stuff. But weird is not brilliant. Weird is just weird. So Christopher Nolan, you know what he should do is same thing as Radiohead is, man, how about trying something a little bit out of your bubble? Try to do something completely different. Do a romance movie by Christopher Nolan. Do a mystery movie by Christopher Nolan, but not with any kind of like a Sherlock Holmes mystery. You know, not some kind of like a time warp kind of mystery or something. You know, he's always doing stuff that's too weird.
Physics. Everyone had to know physics.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. If you need, if he wants to make art movies, I'm okay with that. But art movies should be art movies. If you're making entertainment movies, there has to be a certain part of it where I don't need you to explain it to me. If you need to explain it to me, it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I'm sorry.
Can you imagine? He had been taking his time. He had been writing that script of the movie for 10 years. 10 years he had been working. But IMDb gave it 9 out of 10. I remember. IMDb really liked it.
Yeah, I know, but you know, we also say. There's no accounting for the public's taste. And what that means is everybody loves McDonald's. Does that mean it's great?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so everybody loves lots of stuff that's not very good, you know? So IMDb gave it 9 out of 10. IMDb gave McDonald's 9 out of 10. So, you know, so I don't know if I would trust just IMDb. I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. I don't trust IMDb. I don't trust any of those things because most of the people who are on there, no offense, but you're just a regular person, and that's okay. If you're watching a Disney movie or you're watching, you know, a movie by The Rock or some kind of action movie or something, then those people are the perfect people to be talking to. But when you want to actually judge a movie like something like Inception or a Shakespearean movie or something like that, you need an audience who can actually appreciate it, or it doesn't matter what they think, you know? You could probably take 1,000 people to go see, you know, like there's a movie version of Shakespeare's Henry V that I really liked. But you could take 1,000 people to go see that today, and they would be like, "Oh, that sucked, man. That was terrible." You know, like, where's The Rock? Why isn't The Rock in this movie? And you know, why didn't they have more explosions? You know, I know it's Shakespeare, but they should have big guns. You know, like,
you know, one movie he really made it terribly, and I can also be on the same page about everything that he has done. Is about Tenet. He made it without any sound. No one was talking there, and it was just a handful of some kind of.
I think I remember that one too. Yeah.
I don't think was it Tenet. No, it wasn't Tenet. It was something like kind of wars happening between two countries, and he was trying to show them.
But Tenet was another one that I remember being like.
No, it wasn't Tenet.
Let's see.
It was a war. It was a war. I remember. it was on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot it.
Dunkirk?
Yeah, Dunkirk. Yeah.
Okay.
No one was talking. Did you see that?
I didn't ever see Dunkirk. I heard Dunkirk was pretty good, but I didn't actually
Was
see
it
it,
good?
so I'm not sure.
And if you go watch it, you're gonna regret it. To be
Oh,
honest.
really?
You cannot understand. I watched it till the end, and I was looking for that character to just talk, and no one was talking there.
But wait a minute. So this is your favorite director? What? Come on, man.
I'm so open-minded. So not only do I look at the
Okay. Yeah.
the opposite.
Like I
But
said,
yeah,
he has done a few movies that I do appreciate, and he has done a few. I think you do need some people like him who are weird and want to push things to a different place. But you also, sometimes you're just trying too hard. Sometimes you're just trying too hard to make people think you're great. And I feel like this is something that most musicians learn over time. Young musicians, when we play with a lot of ego because we're desperate for people to think that we're good. We don't have a sense of self-confidence, so we overplay and overperform so that people will say, wow, right? But then when you get older, you don't have that same desperate sense of like a need for approval, so you play with more maturity and less ego. Christopher Nolan needs to learn that lesson. You know, like just, hey, man, make a simple movie. Do a simple movie, you know?
Yeah, Tarantino is also a great director.
And I feel the exact same way about Tarantino. To be honest, Tarantino to me, again, one trick pony.
Yeah.
He did so he is great, but again, he's great at doing this.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I feel like he's another one that I challenge you, Quentin Tarantino, make a movie without a gun and without anybody getting exploded on screen. Make one movie without one person dying. I challenge you. I don't think he has the capability. I don't think he has the talent. I think his brain is wired to look like everything that comes out like a Japanese cartoon from the 1970s. You know, a Japanese anime or a cartoon or an early martial arts movie. He's addicted to that kind of vibe. You know, in that 1970s kind of what we called spaghetti western style movie. And for a minute, he was really unique. And for a minute, he was really, really interesting. But again, he hasn't done anything different. It's all the same stuff over and over again. And at some point in time, it's like Radiohead. Write a happy song. Quentin Tarantino, do a romance movie. Quentin Tarantino, do an actual comedy. Do a drama where nobody dies and there's no guns and there's no crazy ridiculous language, you know. He lost me again on Django Unchained. He did a couple of movies, Django Unchained, and what was the other one? There's another Western movie he did where I feel like I love them too, but I feel like he was basically making these movies because he really wanted to say the N-word a lot. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to find a vehicle to be able to scare people by saying the N-word and presenting these very controversial ideas of race and slavery. And it was like, dude, come on, man. Like, we all know that stuff's bad. We don't need you to put it in our face to make it, you know, understood. And he does it in a way that's not artful. It's not artful. It's the same thing as like a 9-year-old when a 9-year-old makes a movie. Well, you know, first the good guy comes in and the bad guy comes in behind him and he shoots him in the face and his face goes, and then there's 10 other guys who come in and they're all dressed the same and they all punch everybody in the face and they kick them and it's like, dude, like that's like a 9-year-old.
Yeah, and you know, usually they make a movie go viral, and then they try to make all of their movies the same way because they saw that movie.
That's exactly
viral,
right. Yeah,
and they want to follow the same pattern because they feel like it's gonna go viral again and again.
Yeah.
But after same time, with the passage of time, so many people are gonna lose their interest.
Right, and again, there are some movies he's done. I do like his movies, like Inglourious Bastards. I like that movie. I like Kill Bill 2. You know, Kill Bill, whatever. They're both good, but I also there are parts of them that when I look at them, I just think this is ridiculously immature. It's like, man, how did you get to be that old and still have like that you didn't understand that? Man, just leave that stuff behind. Put it behind you. You know, I don't know. You know.
Yeah, I don't like also those movies all the time having protagonists and antagonists in their movies, and they're trying to show that the protagonist is always the good guy and the other is a bad guy. Like that was the reason they made Joker.
Which one?
Joker,
right? Yeah.
For the Suicide Squad, I remember.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, right? Yeah.
Suicide Squad. Yeah. That was my favorite movie. But the first one was good. The second and the third one was terrible, and no one liked it at all. They said that the first one was worse, but it was my favorite one.
But to be honest with you, like I grew up reading Marvel comic books. I have some real Marvel comic books over in my bookshelf, okay? I loved the comic books. I loved the Silver Surfer and Flash and the Fantastic Four and the Hulk and, you know, all these characters. I loved all those characters, right? But again, to be honest with you, like if I don't see any more superhero movies ever again, I'm okay with that. Because they've made far, far, far too many now, and it's really now they're running out of ideas.
For Spider-Man, 5 of them are all the same way.
Right. And what was the newest one that I just saw? Was it called something like Black Adam with The Rock?
Oh,
Venom and Black Adam and then there was another one, Shazam, and they're all like, I kind of feel like, dude, guys.
Yeah,
you know,
the oldest versions at least were better.
Yeah, like, but at some point in time, man, that's one of the only problems with the way Hollywood works is what you just described earlier, that once they find one movie or song that does really well, then they say, oh, let's make 10 more just like that. You know, like, and so, yeah, Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, all the same. You know, what's the difference, you know? And at this point now the good guys are all fighting each other, right? They have internal conflicts and they're fighting each other. And it's like, man, come on, you know? Yeah, there's such a thing as doing it too much.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
All is for everything. Like when you overwhelm like audience, overwhelm yourself, it's gonna hurt everyone. It's gonna hurt yourself.
Comic book movies were awesome when they started because they had never been done before. Not really. We had Superman movies when I was a kid, right? There was 3 Superman movies when I was a kid, and they were good, but they were popular at the time. But they never did anything more with anybody else, right? And then that kind of died out. Nobody really heard about any superhero movies again, you know? And then they started doing them again, but now they're doing too much. And it's just a desperate attempt for money. They're making characters that didn't exist, and they're rewriting the plots to be something really weird, and they're trying to piss people off by making it controversial. It's desperate. It's desperate.
You know, one thing I learned is sometime from after a period of time, what you need to care is not just yourself, not your interest, not that viral thing. You need to care about what your audience likes. Because
yes and no.
Your audience. Yes.
Yeah, no. You're right. You're right to some degree. That's an interesting paradox there. The paradox of the artist is: should the artist care about the audience or not? So it depends on the level of art versus entertainment, right? So if you're only trying to do entertainment, then all you should care about is what the audience wants. But that's the reason why a lot of Hollywood movies suck now. It's because they only care about the audience, so they're just saying, oh, look, they like Marvel movies. Let's make 500 more of them, you know? But in order to make an artsy movie, you actually have to do the exact opposite. You have to say, I don't care what the audience thinks at all. I'm going to do what I think is great and make you live with it. You know,
What if they don't like it then?
that's art. Art is not meant to be liked or disliked. It's meant to make you feel something. Right? So when you go to the museum and you see a piece of art, you shouldn't be thinking about, I like this one, I don't like this one. You should be thinking like, this one makes me feel this, but this one makes me feel this. And this one over here doesn't make me feel anything.
Yeah.
Or this one doesn't make me feel anything today, but it might make me feel something tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Art is meant to evoke emotion. It's meant to evoke a response of feeling. It's not meant to be like, yay! You know, like,
True.
yeah. So not.
It's about painting, right? Because for example, you're gonna invest some money, a huge amount of money for those movies that they go to the whatchamacallit, I don't remember what that word is. Like when they go to a list of 10 movies each week, they need to be like popular and they need
Yeah,
to
like
just
top 10, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, they need to be just one of those top black. Starting with black. I don't remember what that.
I'm not sure.
Word. Yeah. However, what did I want to say? Yeah,
That's okay.
Basically, they try to sell something. So in terms of selling something, the movie needs to be liked. If their audience is not gonna like it, how they're gonna sell it? So it's way different from like painting, right? Painting is true. I agree to some criteria. But for example, you're going to invest some kind of money in it. You're going to pay your actors. You're going to pay your director, writers, and so many people. And if you don't make as much as money, at least, because it should be double or it should be triple. You're
Right,
not
and that's
about our money getting back, right?
That is the reason why art is not and should not be a business.
Yeah.
Art is not about making money. It's about
Yeah.
making feelings. It's about
Yeah.
making you think. It's about making you grow. That's what art is about. And the primary concern should not be your return on profit or investment. The concern should be, am I making something that's going to last forever? Am I making something that's going to affect people's feelings forever? Am I going to make something that next year people are not going to care about or think about? Or am I going to make something that 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, people will still be talking about it? The Godfather, not even one of my favorite movies, but people still talk about it. People still talk about that movie, right? You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
so that's different, you know? That's one of the things about.
Do you think classical movies are better than these movies right now? The movies that have been like produced lately.
In some ways, yes. It's
In what
like
way?
it's like horror movies, right? So like horror movies today, I don't even bother to watch them because they don't scare me at all. Do you know why? Because
Yeah.
everything in a horror movie today is all about CGI. It's just computer stuff, and that doesn't scare me because I know it's just a computer, right? But back in the day, you had to write a movie that scared the crap out of you. You had to write a plot. You had to do things with the cameras to make you scared because you didn't have any computers. There was no artsy stuff to make it, you know, scary, and, you know, you just had to be better at it, right? And so I think there was a certain standard back then when we didn't have all the technical stuff that we have now that forced you to try to do more with less, one. And two, back in the day, the budgets for movies were lower. And one of the reasons why that was a good thing is because, one, it made you do more with less. And two, it meant that more movies could get made. So there was more of a chance for more people to try something that, you know, there's a movie called, what's it called? Hold on, I'll find it.
Take your time.
Oh, yeah. Dog Day Afternoon. Dog Day Afternoon is a
rings a
movie.
bell.
It's made in 1975. It's an Al Pacino movie.
Oh, Al Pacino, yeah.
It's
I
an
love
early Al Pacino movie, and I love this movie. I think this is a great movie, and I think it's got amazing acting in it and a lot of great scenes in it. I don't think that movie would even get made today. I think they would say, we can't give you money for this. It's not going to make anything. You know, so back in the day, they could try things because the risk was lower and there were more opportunities. But that also means in the 1970s and 80s, we had something we called B movies. B movies were movies that were low budget and probably terrible. But there was a beautiful thing about them because they were young actors who were trying to learn and trying to grow, and young writers and young directors, and so there was a lot of really bad stuff, but it was also awesome because they were trying so many things, right? So there was B movies, awesome horror B movies, and awesome comedy B movies, and awesome drama B movies that were just people. They were trying something, and they could because they weren't risking so much.
Yeah.
The budget wasn't $300 million. The budget was like 300,000 at best, maybe 30,000. Wow. You know.
But at that time, that money was also a lot.
It was more, but I wouldn't call it a lot. It was more, but I wouldn't call it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with music. In the 1950s and 60s and 70s, there were hundreds of record labels, hundreds of them, and so people made music, and they weren't high budget things. They were, you know, hey, like there's a studio down there, and I have a band. I'm going to go make a record, and maybe you would sell a gold record. Do you know how much a gold record was? We used to talk about a gold record. If you got a gold record, that was amazing. That's 100,000 records you sold. That's nothing today. Wow. That's nothing. Now they're talking about platinum is $1 million and double platinum and triple platinum, and you know. So back in the day, if you hit 100,000, that was amazing, and a lot of people did that you've never heard of. You know,
they didn't need to tighten up their budget.
Right? Yeah, like I said, like in the 70s, in the 80s, because the budgets were lower. And there were more opportunities. There were more movie studios. There were more music studios. So there was more potential for possible different stuff, you know. But now it's just a few movie theaters that all make the same crap because they only have one interest, and that is money, you know. So and even they say it. Even the people in Hollywood say, yeah, movies today suck. Yeah. they all hate it now. They all think that the system has reached a point where it is really not that good anymore. You know,
you don't see those old actors anymore in this type of movie. I don't see a majority of those old actors that my favorite one, like for example Al Pacino, anymore doing any kind of stuff. He used to be really a proactive.
Yeah, but he's smart because probably he's not getting, you know, nobody's offering him anything worth doing. And he doesn't want to risk his reputation by doing something crappy.
That's what I like.
You know, yeah. And I respect that. Yeah. You're right. There are a lot of actors. That's actually one of my problems with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro he could have been a little more choosy. You know, on the one hand,
he's very bad. He's good.
He's awesome, but I feel like Robert De Niro took a few too many offers. There were a few movies that Robert should have been like, nah, that's all right.
Intern.
Yeah, The Intern was a cute movie. It was a very cute movie. It was a family-friendly, cute movie. But yeah, I feel like he could have been like, yeah, this is not for me. Do this, you know, give that to Jeff Daniels or give that to somebody else, you know. Yeah. And yeah, when you do that, it's kind of like, do you have gambling debts? You know, like do you owe money to somebody? Why did you take such a terrible movie?
You know?
That
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they do. That's what actors do. Sometimes they owe money, so they come back and take a movie. Yeah. You know,
I feel bad for these actors. I feel really bad for them. They really deserve better, like, kind of lives. Better.
Well, let's not get too sorry for them because the majority of them live really well. You know,
the majority. But you know, like newcomers that are going through this.
Okay, yeah, I do feel sorry for young actors today because I just feel like the entire market, and this is the same thing for music. I still play music, I still make music, but I have no interest in being part of that old regime of music business. And most musicians, we've now learned that we don't need you guys. We don't need these big companies anymore. I can do it all myself. I don't need
Yeah.
you. You're the middleman. You're taking a bunch of my money and taking all the credit for what I did. So in the 1990s, a bunch of musicians, we started realizing that we could just produce everything ourselves. And we don't need the music companies anymore. And so a lot of people now are just independent. They just do what they want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
That's also saddening at the same time. You need to
is.
be a sponsor. You need to be a sponsor. Like a majority of, I've seen so many talents going through the waste, and like I've seen so many potentials go waste because of that, and so many people who don't have that kind of money, or I mean, we can see it in any kind of. It's not only about music, because people have potentials and they cannot either go like spend some money like out, and they either they are not willing to take risks. They do not like they cannot even spend money on it. I mean, I myself,
man, that's the
have
truth.
more
That's
potential.
the truth for every business, every single
Yeah.
business, even what I'm doing right now. Right now, if somebody had money to support me, I could probably be a lot bigger than I am. You know, if I had some money to pay people to try to do some work for me, I could probably be making a lot of money, but I don't. So
Yeah.
what do you have to do? Do you quit? Do you go find something else to do? No, there's another part of being an artist, which means you have to stick it out. And the artists
True.
who are real, they you can't walk away from it. You are it. You just have to stick around long enough until people pay attention. So that's my plan, is I'm going to keep doing this long enough until hopefully somebody will pay attention and notice me, and maybe something good will happen for me. But that's
Yeah.
the best you can do, you know?
Yeah,
And-
you are really deft in it, and I can see that innate talent in you, and not only that innate talent, but also the way you play drums. I mean, I'm by no means an expert, but I like it. I mean, I went to the YouTube video, and it was really great with the background music. I watched it the entire time. Compared to Helotech, I guess Helotech didn't have
Yeah,
any kind of...
I think, like I said, I think it might be okay now. If I go back there now, it probably
Really?
might be okay, because it's just a computer glitch, I think. I have a feeling that I'm going to do it later. I'm going to test my sound and see if it works better.
I hope
Because
so.
you said the YouTube was fine. So again, that means on my side it's
was
okay. That means it's some kind of a problem that Hello Talk had. So, Amir,
That was a great concert.
I appreciate you coming on my stage, and thank you for coming up. But I do need to try to get to some other people today. But it's been a
I just
really
have
great
one question. I didn't ask my question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead with your
Sorry.
English question.
So we basically know that and which, so they can be used interchangeably. But I've been like reading a context, and I've seen that which in a sentence
yeah.
together. And I don't know what that is. I just tried it on ChatGPT, and it didn't make sense, and it was also nonsense for so many
Yeah,
people.
it's a formalized way of speaking that people don't really use anymore. That which goes up must come down. You know, like it's just, you know.
What does it mean?
It means nothing. It means the
Nothing?
same thing as that. Yeah, what goes up must come down. That which goes up must come down. It means what? Yeah, it's what is exactly what it means. That which, what. Yeah. It's kind of like the word wherefore. Wherefore is a word we don't use anymore. It was in Shakespeare, and I remember when I was a boy and I read Shakespeare, and it said, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? And everybody who reads that, when the first time they read it, they think it means, where is Romeo? It doesn't mean where is Romeo. The word wherefore, we don't use it anymore. It means why. So when she says, wherefore art thou, Romeo, she's not saying, where are you, Romeo? She's saying, why are you, Romeo? She's upset because he comes from a family that her family hates. So she's, you know, feeling desperate that her situation, she fell in love with somebody that she can't fall in love with, right? So why? Why did this happen to me? But wherefore is not a word we use anymore. So if you said, you know, wherefore you have questions for me, it would be, you know, wherefore do you have
Sounds
questions
hilarious.
for me? Yeah, it sounds funny. It sounds weird. Yeah. It's
Sometimes some idioms also sound funny. So, for example, I used to be saying like, I was as busy as a bee. Do I seem like a bee?
you can say that one. That one works. That one's all right. Busy as a bee.
I saw some people laughing at me, and I was feeling.
Yeah, but
I was also thinking about the deep meaning of it. So, a bee can be as.
well, what I would say is, man, when you're learning English and you're going to use some idioms, there will be some times when you're not sure whether you should use that idiom or not because you're not sure if it's maybe like you're trying too hard or if it's, you should go ahead and use it, okay? Because you can't figure out how to use something properly until you try, right? And in more than likely, they're not laughing at you because you used it improperly. They're just laughing at you because it's kind of like...
I sound so idiomatic.
Well, no, you just you pulled a word out that you wanted to use. That's the way you are right now, right? So when you're a musician and you're young, everybody, listen. When I was a young drummer, you learn a new, we call them licks. A lick means like a new way to play something, right? So if maybe I learned this new lick that sounds like this. And when you learn that, you're like, oh, that's cool. And then when you're young, then you try to you try to force it into everything. Like you're playing a song and that song is just, it's a slow song and it should be just an easy song, but you're finding all kind of reasons to play this in the middle of it, and it doesn't fit, and it's because you're forcing it in there, right? And that's kind of the way it is with language too. When you learn new vocabulary and new idioms, in the beginning, you're not really sure of the proper place to put them or not. You just start putting them out there all over the place. That's okay. I think that's okay. It's a stage of learning. It's a stage of growth. You're attempting to use the vocabulary you have the best way you know. And sometimes you can only figure it out if it's wrong by doing it. Sometimes you have to just try it and say, was that weird? That I said that idiom, is that weird? And probably they'll say, no, it's not weird. It works. We just think it's funny. You could have just said, I'm busy. But you said I'm busy as a bee.
That's what they say.
Right.
You just want to brag. That's what they say.
Right.
But, for example, in my mind, the other day you told me we all need to think in English, and I've been all the time doing it. Like for the last 4 or 5 years, the thing that is in my mind all the time is my perfectionism. Actually, Mark. I can't say as busy as a bee, a lot in my plate, and also up to my neck with deadlines. These 3 things I can say at the same time, but I don't know, like, should I tell this, should I tell that, or should I say I'm just busy, or I'm just, I have all of them in my mind, and that's so bad.
You should say both. You should try both, just like a musician would. What a musician would do is he would try the thing and see if it works in that song or that thing or not, and then he would try it again without it and see which one sounds better.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how my band... We have a diplomatic band. I have a diplomatic band where we have different ideas. My guitar player thinks we should do this with the song. We should do this, and I think we should do that. What do? We do both, and then we talk about it. We try both ideas, and then afterwards we say, yeah, I really thought it should go this way, but I actually, when we played it, I think his idea sounds better.
Yeah.
So try them both, and then see which one you think worked better.
Or which one you like more.
Yeah. And remember, language is stylistic, so you can do it that way. Like E.E. Cummings, you know who he is? He's a famous poet, right? And why is he famous? He's famous for one reason. Didn't like to use capital letters. So almost all of his poetry is written all lowercase. He knows it's wrong. He doesn't care. It was his style. He chose to break the rules. He chose to do it that way. Why? Because he wants to, right? So if you want to say busy as a bee all the time, that's you. That's your personality. That's part of your lexicon, we call it. Your lexicon.
I like that way of thinking.
Yeah.
I like that.
Language is personal, right? So everybody's different. The way you say things is going to be different than the way I say things because I have different vocabulary and different ability.
Reached my time.
Okay. All right, Amir. Well, it was wonderful to see you.
I always enjoy listening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'm going to the YouTube.
All right.
Have a good
Bye-bye. All right. So that was a long conversation, but again, Amir's another one of my favorite followers here. So, and his English is great. So it's a good chance to listen to him. So who else wants to come talk to me? Anybody? Raise your hand if you want to come talk to me. Anyone want to raise your hand? Hello? You can ask me English questions. I'm looking for your English questions. Do you have questions about grammar? Do you have questions about vocabulary? Do you have questions about pronunciation? Do you have questions about writing or reading or listening or speaking? Do you have questions about confidence? Do you have questions about accent? Ask me your questions. Oh, wait, I'll do that again. Ask me your questions. Okay, let's see. Have I ever worked in a call center? No, I have not. No, I have helped people get jobs doing that, but I have not worked in a call center myself, no. How do I feel about my new president? Well, that gets into politics, but I'll just say I feel the same way as I do about the dog excrement that I stepped on in the yard. I feel the same way as about it as dog excrement on my shoe. How to improve English in only 2 months. Learn one new word, and then you've improved your English in only 2 months. Am I a singer? No, I'm not a singer. Maria, I can't go into why because it's talking about politics. But I like good people. I like good people. That's the simplest way to put it. I don't like bad people. I like good people. That's really that simple. Okay, let's see. What's the best tip for someone who got stuck in B2 and can't improve more? Noe, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but you are stuck because you are not challenging yourself enough. So, if you want to improve from B2 to a higher level, then you need to try to figure out, hold on, let me check something here, hold on. All right, let's see. All right, so you are in B2, you said B2, right? Which is like an independent intermediate user, right? So how are you working on C1 level? C1 is the next level. Are you doing any C1 reading? Are you doing any C1 writing? Are you doing any C1 listening? Have you tried learning C1 vocabulary? Have you tried using C1 vocabulary? Right? So you need to think about all the different aspects of language. C1 grammar, C1 pronunciation, C1 writing, reading, listening, speaking, and you need to do exercises in all of those. Okay? If you want to push yourself, then push yourself. If you're not improving, it's because you're not pushing yourself enough in enough of those ways, okay? For beginners in YouTube, what do I have? There's plenty there. Go explore my channel. I promise, okay? All right. Let's see. Safe wants to come up and talk to me. Come on up, Safe, and raise your hand. Raise your hand if you want to come up, okay?
Hello, teacher. How are you doing?
Hello, Safe. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm totally perfect. Thanks.
Good. What can I do for you?
Actually, I wanted to ask you. I was truly good at first when it comes to language, when it comes to vocabulary and how to speak with people in a good way and this kind of stuff. But now I'm sort of busy all the time, and I don't know what am I supposed to do to practice English. I need to take a lot of times, or I can't practice English for 2 days in a week, or what? The best way. Or I'm just afraid to forget every single word I've known.
Okay, so you've watched me a lot. What is the number one thing I recommend to people on Hello Talk?
Think in English. Yeah.
That's my answer, man. You've heard me say it before. The exact answer, what you need. You said, I'm worried about forgetting. I'm worried about not being able to use it enough. That means, if you tell me you're worried about those things, that means that you're not thinking in English enough. You won't be worried if you're thinking a bunch. If you're thinking a lot in English, then you won't be worried. You'll feel confident. You'll feel like you have the words. You'll feel like the words are not leaving you. Okay, so you need to find more ways to try to think in English every day. And what did I tell people? I say, try to use routine things that you do to become consistent ways to practice. So you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth and take a shower every day. Make that English thinking time. You make breakfast every morning. Make that English thinking time. You go to the market every week. Make that English thinking time. You watch TV every night and watch movies every night. Make that English thinking time. Right?
Okay.
So find all ways to turn your life into English thinking time. Then you will feel like the words are there and you don't forget them. Okay? So often when I'm by myself, I'm on my phone and I'm just doing stuff on Facebook, or I'm reading articles, and I will think about them in Chinese. I'll just do whatever I'm normally doing, but I just do it with Chinese mind. And if I can't, right, if there's something that I want to think, but I don't know how to think that in Chinese, I write it down, and that's my homework. That's how I improve. Finding things I don't know how to say. When you find something you don't know how to say, that's an opportunity to learn how to say that thing. Okay?
I have to pretend that I'm a native speaker of English now, right?
I'm sorry, say again?
So I have to pretend that I'm a native speaker of English now.
I wouldn't say you have to pretend you're a native speaker of English, but you do have to treat it more like you're taking your phone and you change the language in your phone. So you have to change the language in your mind a bunch of times a day. You don't have to keep it on English all the time. Okay? I know that's hard, but you have to try to find a way to make at least 10, 20, 30% of your day in English.
That's great.
If you could reach a point where you're doing 50% of your day in English, just think about how much practice you can do.
The diary, right?
The diary would be good, but not just the diary. Again, thinking practice. Just think. I'm just saying thinking in English. Diary is good, but that's something you need to do. Writing practice is something you need to do. Speaking practice is something you need to do. There's an action there. But there's no action in thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So so that means you can do it anytime. You can do it anytime that you're doing anything. Okay?
Yeah, it is understandable. I was in another app and I put flag of the United States of America, and I was just trying to pretend that I'm American, okay, to see what people are gonna say about my accent, my English, and they thought that I'm American. I've got a lady from America as a girlfriend. She told me your English is very good.
Wow.
She was shocked because I was, but
your English
is
very
like I'm
good.
getting worse all the time.
No, I mean I can hear the slightest, tiniest little accent, Middle Eastern accent. Very, very slight. So yeah, your accent is excellent. Your speaking is very, very, very good. Be careful with your new girlfriend. Don't be pretending with your new girlfriend. That means you're lying. There's another word for that. It's called lying.
Yeah, I told her the truth immediately, actually.
Good.
She was shocked.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So that's okay if you're just testing the waters. You're just trying to see, can I pull it off? We say to pull it off means, can I make people believe that I'm an American? All right, you did it. Yeah. And keep working on it. You're doing fine, man. You can think in English right now. Obviously, I can tell you can. So that means that there is just no reason why you should not be doing this every day. You should be thinking 50% of your day should be in English, in your mind.
No,
Okay.
I was talking to myself in the street.
That's fine
in English
too.
all the time.
Yeah, that's good too. Okay.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I have one last question. What the most important skill in English that I have to take care of at the most?
I think the most important thing with any language is what we just talked about. Your ability to feel comfortable with the language in your mind. Because if the language feels comfortable in your mind, now you can use that, right? So, like, I almost feel like when it's in your mind, it's like magic. And when you have it in your mind, if you feel like it's comfortable here, now you can magically use it in life. You can use it to speak, right? So if it's comfortable here, you can speak it well. If it's comfortable here, you can write it well. If it's comfortable here, you can listen and understand. If it's comfortable here, you can, all the aspects of language will be comfortable if your thinking is comfortable. That's my whole brand. My entire brand of teaching English is based on the idea that language starts in the mind. So it is the most important thing that you should be doing and what you should be most comfortable with, okay?
But if I wanted to overcome this fearness when I'm talking to another speaker of English, like when I'm talking to any native speaker of English, I feel like I'm just afraid to say something wrong or have bad grammar, like this. I feel like I'm talking so bad.
Okay, so look at me. Get over it.
Okay.
Get over it. Stop worrying so much. It's just language, okay? I want you to think about it more like a scientist. Okay, when a scientist has an idea, something that they think is true, they have to prove it with experiments, right? So they do a lot of experiments, and when they do experiments, some of those experiments are successful, and they say, oh, it worked, and it worked because exactly what I think. But there are many times when the experiment fails for some reason. It doesn't go the way they thought it was going to. Now, do they learn more from the successes, or do they learn more from the failures? The successes don't really tell them anything. The successes is like, it worked like I thought. It's the failures that tell you something. It's the failures that you can actually learn from and grow from and improve on. So you have to make mistakes to get better. Okay, if you're not making mistakes, you're not making progress.
Yeah, that's really right. You're a wise teacher.
Okay.
You're so wise.
You have to make it. You have to be. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just make mistakes boldly, but also learn from them boldly. Okay.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is understandable. But,
So,
the question is still on.
Safe. Unfortunately, I have to go because my alarm went off because I have an appointment in about 45 minutes and I have to drive there. And so I'm going to have to let you go because I need to end here. But it was great to have you on my stage today. Thank you for coming. And again, yeah, your English is excellent, man. Yeah, you're doing really, 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 really well.
It's my
So
pleasure.
keep it up, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you came to America tomorrow, you would be fine. And yeah, probably most people would probably assume that you grew up in America. Okay? Ah, the connection got bad all of a sudden. There we go. There you are. Okay. I think you heard me, yeah?
here 100%.
Okay, good. All right. All right. Well, Safe, thank you for coming. I will see you next time then, okay, my friend? Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. See you later.
Okay, yeah, guys, I need to go. I have an appointment I need to get to. You can understand me because I'm good at what I do. Okay? All right, thank you very much, Belen. Thank you, Himanshu. Thank you, Rohi. Thank you, everybody. Okay? Go follow my YouTube channel. If you didn't follow my YouTube channel yet, go to my YouTube channel, follow. You can also go to my private website, and you can get lessons from me if you want lessons from me, okay? AFIECEnglish.com. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening, wherever you live in the world. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care. It's right here, Tom. There's my YouTube.